The first thing that we're going to work on today is learning the remainder of the notes on the fretboard. In a previous lesson, you learned half of the fretboard, the 6th, 5th, and 1st strings. As I hope you remember, the 1st string was easy because the note names are the same as on the 6th string. So that means 3 strings down with 3 strings to go. We're going to take care of those today. First, a quick review. Note names always appear in the same sequence, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Look at the note name PDF that's found in your course materials. It's helpful to print this out and keep it handy. The chart shows that E and B don't have sharps. Also remember that the sharp of a note, F sharp for example, can also be called G flat. The note is a half step lower than G, so it's G flat, but the same note is also a half step higher than F, so it can be called F sharp. Any sharp can also be considered a flat. A half step, by the way, is a single fret. This is a half step sharp, half step flat of G. So F sharp and G flat are just two different names for the same note. To learn all the note names, you must first memorize the name of the open strings. As you look at the chart, you can see that the open strings are listed left of the nut. Beginning with the 6th string at the bottom of the chart, it's E, A, D, G, B, and E. Remember this acronym. Eat all day, get big easy. Just use the first letter from each word and you've got the open strings memorized. As long as you can remember, eat all day, get big easy. Then just pick an open string. For this example, we'll use G and call off the note names. G, G sharp, A, B flat, B. Go straight to C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, go straight to F, F sharp, back to G at the 12th fret, which is the octave. Every day, you should spend at least 5 minutes identifying note names on each string until you start to recognize a few. At first, don't worry about the sharps and flats. If you know where A through G are located, it's pretty easy to figure out the sharps and flats. So step 1 is to just learn note names running up and down the fretboard. For step 2, begin calling out note names. Once again, I'll use G as an example. And there are typically 2 of each note on each string. So G, here's the G on the 6th string, and here's the second one, G. Here's G, here's G, G, G. Then we have open G, 12th fret G. Then we have G on the 2nd string, G, G, and G. I get a little hesitant up here because I have some fretboards that are longer than this one. So anyway, keep calling out different note names and locate 2 on each string. In a few days, you'll really begin identifying note names. The final step is, once you've learned the notes in a linear, up and down the neck fashion, begin trying to name them vertically at different frets. One thing to remember about note names is, they're easy to forget. You've got to keep at it. If you stop reviewing note names as part of your daily practice routine, you will begin to forget, and the fretboard will become a patchwork of mysterious areas. Don't let that happen to you. Now take a look at exercise 1. I'm showing this with standard notation over the tab. This is an option if you're using Guitar Pro software. You can do this to any exercise in our lessons. This piece has an assortment of note values. A quarter note gets a single beat, like 1, 2, 3, 4. An eighth note gets half a beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There are 4/16 notes per beat. This half note gets 2 beats. There are no whole notes in this notation, but they get 4 beats, and more on this next week. Don't be overly concerned with note values at this point. You will understand this by simply watching the tab as you play along. It's actually very simple. One other thing about this piece, it begins in 3/4 time. That simply means that there are 3 beats per measure and a quarter note gets a single beat. Then it changes to 4/4 time. That means 4 beats to the measure and a quarter note gets a single beat. The reason for the time signature change is the first phrase is only 3 beats long. Then those 3 beats repeat. So everything is grouped in 3 beats. The same is true for the 4/4 time signature. The phrases are grouped into 4 beats. Once again, don't be overly concerned with this, but take the time to at least attempt to understand it. The animated tab will show how the piece is to be played, even if you don't quite understand note values or time signatures. Here's how exercise 1 sounds. Exercise 2 shouldn't be too challenging, but it's fun to play. It's modeled after a Hendrix riff. The rests are 8th note rests. Nothing is to be played for an 1/8 of a beat at each of these spots. There was an 8th note rest in exercise 1, but I thought I'd already shared enough info on that one, so I gave you a break. We're catching up now. Here's exercise 2. Exercise 3 is the 4th pentatonic pattern. You know the drill. One more pattern and you will be a master of the pentatonic scale in all positions on the fretboard, and that's coming up next week. Exercise 4 is a scale sequence. You'll see when you're playing this one that it's a repeating rhythmic and melodic phrase. That sounds more complicated than it actually is. Just play along and you'll understand what I'm referring to. This sequence is from the 4th pentatonic pattern. Normally, I don't like to include a 5th exercise in the lesson, but I couldn't resist for 2 reasons. 1, this is very easy. And 2, you need some licks to play over the A minor chord changes that you've been practicing. Try playing these in time with some of the songs that we've covered in previous lessons. If the tempo is 50 beats per minute, for example, set the tempo of the tab to 50 beats per minute and practice these before trying them over the chord change. This will give you a great start for improvising lead guitar. I mentioned in last week's lesson that it's time to start practicing some easy songs. Here's a link to a forum topic that includes a list of easy songs. That's all for week 4 of the Complete Basic course. Congratulations for making it this far. I bet you're already hooked. See you next week.